you can choose
Okay,
that
you proceed.
from beginning like that then near your
Yeah, yeah,
file.
I have given. Is the
Okay,
slide moving?
you go to the second slide.
Yeah, now I'm in second slide actually.
No, it's
Is it
not moving. It's not moving.
so? Shall I do it in the
Yes,
normal?
yes, yes, yes. Now it's there. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, you start.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to present about a research paper titled Critical Review of Recent Developments in Nanomaterials for Photoelectrics in Dye Sensitized Solar Cells. And this is a review article by C. Clement Raj and Dr. R. Prashant. In this paper, it has mainly dealt with the performance of different nanostructured photoanodes in a dye-sensitized solar cell. Now I'm in second slide, sir. Did it change?
No, it's not changing. Last time, once it changed, but now it is not moving.
You can do full screen mode. It will change, I think. Like you just show your entire laptop
Yeah, now it
screen.
is. It's moved. It moved to second. Moved to second, but it is in not in presentation mode. So it's okay. Fine. Move.
Okay.
You proceed. Let us see.
So, okay.
Yeah,
So
proceed.
in the introductory session, the paper starts with the need of renewable energies, particularly solar energy in the current world energy scenario. So even though there are separate barriers like cost and efficiency, which solar energy production has to overcome, it has been an emerging sustainable technology, especially PV technology. And we are well aware about three generational solar cells. First generation being the conventional solar cell based on silicon. Then the second generation are based on thin film technologies. This includes amorphous silicon, CDTA, etc. And here we are interested about third generation solar cells devices like multi-junction, DSSC and organic solar cells. So DSSC is one of the promising third generation PV technology. This third generation technology has a growing interest in market due to their applicability to indoor facilities and in portable devices such as chargers, solar bags, and etc. So, why do we having a particular interest on DSSC? As we know, DSSC is a technology that can be used to produce electricity in a wide range of light, both indoor and outdoor. And it could enable the user to convert both artificial and natural light into energy in order to power a broad range of electronic devices. So, the ease of manufacturing and ability to seamlessly integrate it with existing devices are the factors which attract industrial interest. Then, tunable optical properties for varied aesthetic sense and cost effectiveness has led to more research activities in this field. Uh, as it's already discussed, DSSA is a simple photoelectrochemical cell that imitates the photosynthesis process in plants. So it consists of a semiconductor based photoanode covered with a monolayer of dye. Here, dye is nothing but a photoactive material and it can produce electricity once it is sensitized by the light. So the dye catches photons of incoming light and it uses its energy to excite electrons, which is like behaving like a chlorophyll photosynthesis. So the dye inject these electrons into titanium dioxide. The electrons then conducted away by nanocrystalline titanium dioxide. The electrolyte, which is this iodide species, closes the cycle so that electrons are returned back to the dye. Here, the various charge transfer mechanism involved is shown. So, through consistent researches, the efficiency of DSSC has reached a maximum of 13 percentage. Even in spite of the drawbacks such as low efficiency and durability compared to conventional technologies. An interesting advantage of DSSC is that it can be integrated with day-to-day low power gadgets. So each component of DSSC attracts wide spread interest due to the fact that there is still room for improvement in the efficiency. It could be by bringing down the cost with the use of cheaper alternatives. And a transparent conducting oxide layer with high transparency and minimum resistance can replace the existing expensive indium tin oxide and fluorine doped tin oxide coated glasses. A cheaper dye with large absorption bandwidth can improve the absorption of light at the active layer. An electrolyte that can provide higher open circuit voltage and stabilities required. So, as it is a study on the performance of different photoanodes in DSSC, this paper focuses on the photoanode material and its fabrication techniques. So, what is a photoanode? It is essentially constituted by a thin semiconductor nanoparticle film deposited on transparent conductive support where satisfy some characters. Those are listed here in this slide. It should have a uniform nanostructure, mesoscopic filling with very high surface area. This is for maximum dye absorption because we know increased surface area could enhance absorption properties and reactivity. Similarly, there are four more important factors that a photoanode must possess, such as maximum transparency, faster electron transport, higher electron diffusion length, and it must be porous so that it is accessible for the electrolyte. Among the several photoanodes, titanium dioxide, zinc oxide, niobium pentoxide, they are found to be most promising photoanode materials. Uh, Among many different materials that have been tested as photoanode in DSSC, titanium dioxide is the most abundantly used one. This is because some of its superior characteristics. It has a reduced recombination probability. This is because in case of titanium dioxide, valence band is composed of oxygen, 2p oxygen orbitals hybridized with titanium 3d orbital. So this difference in parity between the energy state will result in reduced recombination probability. Uh, Also, it's best suited for DSSC due to its higher conduction bandage and increased surface area. It has got a highest efficiency among the materials investigated so far. Then zinc oxide is another wide bandgap semiconductor material with high electron mobility, and it's best suited for photoelectrodes in DSSC. Then niobium pentoxide, this NB2O5 based cells exhibit high open circuit potential and good electron injection efficiency due to the favorable conduction bandage. While getting into the fabrication of these photoanodes, there are several key challenges one could face. The design and fabrication of photoelectrodes with good light harvesting ability, charge transport, and lower recombination is a key challenge in DSSC. Photoelectrodes can be synthesized using many approaches. The key motivation in choosing the right synthesis method is its capability in tuning material architecture by controlling the reaction parameters. So this article reviews about various synthesis methods used for fabrication of metal oxide, which is already mentioned. So the first one is titanium dioxide. There are several fabrication techniques reported for the synthesis of titanium dioxide nanostructures. For the fabrication of TiO2 nanoparticles, the two methods are reviewed in this article. That is hydrothermal method and Sol gel. So in this hydrothermal method, water act as a catalyst and highly homogeneous TiO2 nanoparticles can be synthesized. So materials of different shapes and sizes can be synthesized by controlling the reaction parameters as always. Another method is the Sol gel technique. This is a most common low temperature technique used for the preparation of TiO2 nanoparticles. In this method, the hydrolysis of a titanium precursor is carried out with excess water catalyzed by an acid or a base. So the condensation, subsequent polymerization and evaporation of solvent leads to the formation of a three-dimensional gel network. A major advantage of Sol gel process is its homogeneity and purity of the synthesized material. Next one is TiO2 nanorods. This is grown using a two-step method. In the first step, a compact TiO2 layer is grown over FTO coated glass by spray pyrolysis. In the second step, hydrothermal synthesis is carried out by placing the compact TiO2 layer inside the Teflon lined stainless steel autoclave containing titanium precursor and water. So here also the control in morphology of these nanorods can be done by the changing surfactant and solvent composition. Next is about nanotubes, titanium dioxide nanotubes. One of the significant method that is electrochemical anodization. This method was discussed in a very detailed manner in last week's meeting. As we have seen that it's a process of giving an oxide layer over the surface of the material. Similarly, a few other nanostructures of TiO2 and its fabrication are also discussed in this paper. The image shown here are some of the TiO2 nanostructure mentioned in this paper. Similar to TiO2 nanostructure fabrication, zinc oxide nanostructure are also synthesized through techniques such as wet chemical synthesis for ZNO nanoparticles, then hydrothermal synthesis for ZNO nanorods. Also, zinc oxide nanorods synthesized through electrochemical deposition. It is the most simple and cost-effective method for the fabrication of zinc oxide nanorod arrays. In this method, zinc oxide nanorods are deposited on a conducting substrate like FTO coated glass using a 3 electrode electrochemical setup. This electrolyte consists of a zinc precursor solution with potassium chloride saturated with molecular oxygen. In the similar manner, we have seen for titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. Niobium pentoxide nanostructures are developed through many different methods. NB2O5 is gaining more prominence in the field of DSSC research due to its applicability in both anode and cathode part of the cell. So nanostructures of this are prepared by various methods such as hydrothermal, Sol gel, electrode deposition, PVD, etc. This article discuss mainly about these aspects. In the concluding session, it has demonstrated the progress in research works, which has led to the fabrication of higher efficiency devices using cheaper alternative materials. Till date, TiO2 nanoparticle is the best known material used as photoanodes. It's also to be mentioned that no significant breakthrough has been reported using one-dimensional nanostructured photoanodes due to its insufficient surface area, and this remain as a challenge for the future researchers. Again, it's well understood that the performance of DSS is significantly affected by our choice of material to be used as a photoanode. So with this, let me conclude.